I have an idea for my bike logo, and this is a weather cycle app logo. I have drawn it out on the board because it's in my head. You saw me draw it. You should draw your logo too first. Remember, even the guy from the video with the golden ratio, he had a drawing, right? Yeah. Okay, so start with a drawing. You should have some ideas like that. It really shows, especially when you go on that job interview, you should be showing drawings of my concepts. Oh, look, these are my concepts, and here's my final design. People want to see you going through that process. So in this case, I have the idea of a bike silhouette, but of course I don't have a bike silhouette. So I'm going to go steal a bike. Here we go. I could draw it, but I'm too lazy right now, so we're going to go steal, and we'll learn how to steal. I was pretty good at stealing. So I'm going to go to Google Images. I'm going to type in bike, and I'm going to go through and look for the bike I want. This is kind of, was this the look I want? I think this is the look I want. Kind of like that. I kind of want that angle. You saw my drawing. Kind of an angle with the handlebars there and the thing there. Let me see if that's one. Ooh, this one's kind of cool, but people won't recognize it. I want something that's going to recognize it. It's going to look like a bike that everybody knows. Hey, that's a bike, right? So this is kind of, kind of the bike maybe. That, something like that. That's fine. Not on a side like this. I want an angle like this is what I'm looking like. They're coming out of the sunset. So here we go. I'm going to steal this by right-clicking on it. I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to go right to Photoshop and paste it in there. File, new, File, new. It knows what size it is, and we hit create, and then we paste it in there in Photoshop by going under edit, paste. There we go. We got our bike in there. The problem is I want this bike to be black and white so that it's a silhouette, just a black. So the problem you're going to run into, of course, is that there is white in the body here, so I didn't think about that. I should have picked a color bike, but whatever. Let's try and adjust it with levels. I think I showed you levels the first week of school, if we remember levels. That was this. This I can add contrast where I make the blacks more black and the whites. Let's go this way. There we go. We're going to go something like this. There we go. That's more of a silhouette right there. Perfect. Okay, now to make it really, let me move this around so I can, there we go. Now I really want it to be black, black, and white, white. So we're going to remove all color information by going to what's called grayscale. When you go to grayscale, it makes it 256 levels of gray. To do that, we go underneath image mode right here. You see it here. You can say index color. That would be color 256 levels of color. And if you want to look at that, we can look at that. Yes, and it's just going to say yeah, and it tells you how many colors. Look, 256, and then it asks you how you want to do it. Force black and white, so on. We used to do this. In fact, in order to put images onto web pages, we used to go to index color to put it on a website so that we could control how the image would look on a 256 color monitor. So I used to do that. That was crazy. But and we used to use a program called Debabilizer, and what Debabilizer would do is it would do a whole group of them at the same time. That was a long time ago, but here we go. I'm going to go actually to grayscale. Again, what does grayscale do is it makes 256 levels of gray. And so if I click on that, it's going to, hey, you want to flatten? Yeah. Discard all color information? Yeah. So now we have a grayscale. The problem is that it's still kind of gray. Gray. We want this to be pure black and pure white. To make it pure black and pure white, we're going to get rid of all gray information and just go to black and white. What that is called bitmap. It's right there, bitmap. And when we go to bitmap right there, we're going to go and remove all color information. So we got just black and white like that. So now, since I have just a black and white image like that, I can now go and convert this into a vector. And it'll look like, this kind of in a object. Okay, so again, this was under image mode bitmap. Okay, how that works is that what you're doing is you're forcing the pixel either to be black or white. That's it. There's no color information. There's no gray information. It's every pixel in this image has to be either black or white. That's what bitmap is. And if you zoom in, you can see each pixel is either black or white. We'll zoom out a little bit. So now I have a good starting point that I could use to make a graphic inside of Illustrator. So next step would be to use Illustrator. Now I could actually make this in a vector here inside of Photoshop, but this is too complex. I'm going to let Illustrator do it a little bit better. Also keep in mind next year, next semester maybe even, we're going to actually have a room that's over there at the end of the hall. It's going to be our media lab or our maker space, and we're going to have printing press in there and some other things. And when I do a lot of printmaking, maybe I'll bring my press from home. Maybe we'll use it here. I have actually a printing press at home. Gene has got the school to get a letter press, but that's great. You know, you're going to put little letters on there. I like it when I make prints or make prints. I like to do things like this, where I'll make something black and white like this, and I'll take it and on the printing press, and I'll you'll be able to almost make a color out of this. So I do a lot of things like this in printmaking, making things black and white, because when you print something, you're printing a solid color, right? And at least with the printing presses I use are mono prints, and this is a good starting point for a solid color. Okay, let's take this into Illustrator. We're going to do the same techniques that we do with the noun project. The same thing. I'm going to copy this. Command A is copy, or Command A is select all. Command C is copy. I'm going to go over to Illustrator. Don't look at my sample. Whoosh, going down there. Here we go. I'm going to start new here, and I'm going to say, don't worry about size. And then, didn't I not say new? No? Oh. This is all messed up because of the, it's down here. Really? Oh, geez. It's not going to work. I'm just going to quit this. Okay, hold on. The program really doesn't like the monitor being so small. Is the problem. It thinks everything has to be big. It's not made for a projector. Probably get worse in the future. Okay, sorry. Here we go. Paste. And you'll notice right then and there, you'll notice I have my shape. It already doesn't have white back there already. That's pretty good already. Let's shrink it down a little bit. There we go. It's a good starting point. Good starting point. Okay, now I'm going to simplify it because this is it has a lot of detail to it, but I'm going to simplify it. To simplify it, I'm going to go underneath my image trace. And again, you have different options in here. I'm going to say ignore white. There's no white in there anyways. And then if I hit preview, you'll see what it looks like, and it's still kind of complex. So if you want to make it even simpler, you can adjust the paths and the corners and the noise. These options sort of make it. No, there we go. This makes it a little simpler. There we go. I want it to be kind of simple. There we go. So again, threshold, I put that down. Let's see if this makes it simpler. No, that's too much. Oop, too simple. Okay, something like that. Okay, so nice, simple kind of silhouette shape like that. And when I'm done, I'm done. It's a shape. It's an object. You can go and use your expand to make sure that you have it. One of the other things to keep in mind is when you do expand it now, you can change the color if you want to change the color. The biggest problem, though, is it's still in bitmap. It's still in grayscale. If you want to do a color, you actually have to go to color, and I've showed you this many times that you have to go in the color options. Remember that. And if you want, you have to change it to RGB. Then you can add color again. So if you want color in there, you have to add RGB. Maybe we'll give it a little bit of a blue. There we go. So I have my nice bike shape that I want. And next I'm going to make my sunset that I drew on the board. To do that, we're going to use some new tools that I did not show you and some of you. I know the guy in the video uses the squiggle tool. I don't like the squiggle tool. I like Pathfinder. So here's how we can make a simple half sun. I'm going to do like a half a sun like I drew on the board. I'm going to use my my ellipse tool. I'm going to draw it by using the option, click and drag, and I'll make a nice circle. Here we go. Nice circle. I'm not too worried about the color. Let's put some color in anyways. Next, I want to chop the bottom half off. Now, instead of chopping it off, trying to use some stupid scissor tool or something like that, they have some kind of knife tool or something. I don't know what they got. They got some knife tool and things like, there it is, knife tool, scissor tool. These ones can cut things. You know, if you look at the knife tool, you can go like that, and then you can click on the shape like this and hit, oh, nope, that didn't work. You can click on this shape and hit delete, you know that. But it's not straight and that perfect, you know, and something like that. So I try to avoid those. Probably the best one to use is something I would use, maybe a quick and easy way for me to chop off the bottom is to use the Pathfinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle that's over the bottom half of this this circle here by you know, kind of drawing a rectangle over top. Here we go. So there's a rectangle over top. So then I'm going to select both objects. And I'm going to use this object to chop this object. And use this object to chop this object, we use something called Pathfinder. Here's the Pathfinder. Pathfinder is very useful. I use it all the time. This joins them together if you want them to be one object so that they're both the same. This one, minus front, that's what I want to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that rectangle in front to cut the shape in the back. Watch, boom. Now it's that shape. Unlike that squiggle tool where you had to go and find the other shape and delete it, there's no other shape. It's gone. Okay, so again, I use this all the time, this one, minus front. Sometimes I use this one where two objects intersect to keep where they both overlap. This is where they don't overlap. Keep that. And then this one's making, divide, trim, merge, crop, outline, minus back. So this one I use mostly, minus front. Very quick and easy way. So next I'm going to take and duplicate this shape by using the Option, click and drag. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. I'm going to put it back kind of in the middle here. I'm going to give it a yellow. Okay, now I want my 70s look. So in my 70s look is, again, in the 70s kind of printing style. There was big solid colors. And maybe I'll bring some, I got some books from the 70s. I would love to bring them in here so that we can see. We're going to get a nice big bookshelf right here where I'm going to be able to have some books for you next semester. We're going to pull them off and I'll be able to show you some of the things that we talked about, like the 70s printing. I have some great examples. I got an Arizona travel brochure from the 1970s that shows, you know, the solid and, you know, sunset kind of thing like this. So here we go. I want to have multiple layers of this. I want to have 4 or 3 layers of color here. And so the tool I'm going to use is this one right here called the blend tool. How the blend tool works is it blends 2 objects together. Let me do a little demo before we do this right here so you can see how it works. So if I have a rectangle here and then I have a circle or polygon here and we change the color, I can morph this shape into this shape using this tool right here, the blend tool. So if I click on one corner, one point of this one, another point, you can see it'll kind of put the shapes in between it. It'll blend these shapes in between. So that's kind of what I'm going to do with this object here. I'm going to click on this point right here. Oh, I didn't want to go all the way to there. I still have this selected. That's why make sure you don't have that selected. Boom. I can go from this shape here to this shape here, and it'll put these different grays in there. Let me get a little closer here so you can see. I'm trying to get kind of this kind of look where you have the solid kind of color like this. See that solid color like that? And you can adjust the amount of blends there. Maybe I only wanted a few. If you double click on the tool right here, the blend tool right here, if you double click on it, you can tell it how many steps you want. You can say smooth. If you say smooth right there and hit OK and click on again, how it works is you click on a point in one, and then you click on a point of another one, and it'll do. Smooth, it puts a whole bunch of them in there. That's why it looks smooth. In fact, this is how we did gradients before we had a gradient tool. We had to do this. But I don't want smooth. I want that look. I want those shapes. So again, I'm going to go to the blend tool. This time I'm going to go to specific steps. And I'm going to say maybe 2. And the reason why is I want to click on this point here and click on this point here. And I have only a few kind of different grays. Did you see that? So it's a great tool to do things like that where you can, you know, I don't use morphing very much here, this morphing. I mean, the morphing is kind of cool. You can actually go and you can select this shape and move it, and you can get the ones in between here. And if you want to use like this shape in between here, like, oh, this is a cool shape, I want to use that, you have to ungroup that or expand it. Then you can grab each individual piece. Oh, you have to click on there and you can grab each individual piece. But now they're not together like they were. So again, I think you should practice or know how the blend tool works. It's very useful for doing things like this. That way I don't have to duplicate and try and figure out if the space between them is all even and all that stuff. Now I can take my bike shape and I can put that over top of my, here we go. My idea was, oh, we got to arrange it so it's on top. Make sure you arrange, bring the front. And I wanted it to be kind of, there we go. I had a vision of, I had a 70s vision. So this is not, so this is, like I said, this is for, you know, kind of, I don't know. It was some dumb logo looking thing, but this is what I had in mind. I wanted to show you how I do the black and white though. Okay? Okay, so you, now I didn't talk about the golden ratio. Let's talk about the golden ratio. So I know this is not done in the golden ratio. I just wanted to show you specifically how to make something black and white like this using Photoshop. And remember, it was bitmap, right? Bitmap is black and white pixels. Convert to an object. Blend tool in the background. Let's open the golden ratio and look at that. If you watch the video from the guy, he was using the golden ratio by making shapes that fit within there. That's sort of what the idea of the golden ratio was. So if we open that up, and you're not, oh, where is it? It's on the desktop, isn't it? Oh, let me save this. I'm gonna keep this. That's not the greatest logo, but it was fun to make. It was fun to make. This is my bike weather app. Bike weather app. Okay. Let's open up the golden ratio here. Okay, this is what we made last class before we left. Okay. And the purpose of it is to try and make shapes that fit within the objects here so that they can relate to each other. Did you watch the video of the guy? Did anybody watch the end of it? Some of us? Yeah? The bird, when he made the bird logo, right? One of the things about the bird logo is not everything was fitting within each one, right? He would go over two, right? It's not necessary you have to make every shape fit in here, but they can go over two, is what I'm trying to say, if you watch that, right? So what is this shape and why we use it? Just so that the objects that we're making can relate to the other objects. That's all it really is, and so that they match in some kind of visual ratio. That's all it really is. How would I use this as a template? Again, you can lock it. I think I locked it. You can import it into a thing. You can save it as a template inside of Illustrator. You can make a bitmap out of it and bring it into, or just leave it as Illustrator and bring it into Photoshop. Use it as a background in Photoshop. Again, what the purpose of it is, if you were going to make a logo, let's say we're going to do a star logo. If I could, where's my, oh. What is a star? How many points is a star? 4? 8?
5.
How about 8? No, that's a that's a. We need. Where's the star logo? Oh, the star. There is a star. That's what I'm looking at. Let's go up to, I don't know, 10. There we go. So if I'm using a shape like this, I could start by putting it kind of in the ratio here. There we go. Okay. And of course it doesn't fit perfectly as a square there. But then if I want another shape, I can then use another shape here whereby, let's say we make an ellipse here on this one. There we go. Now I have a star shape and an ellipse shape. And I can give them some color. There we go. And see how they fit naturally together there, right? The way that the shape of the circle fits kind of even inside of there, right? See how it's kind of, and then we can use our Pathfinder. Where's my Pathfinder? There it is. And then how about we minus front? Oh, I didn't have both of them selected. You got to select both of them. Minus front. There we go. So, oh, look at that. There's a nice sort of, you know, sun, right? We're looking at sun action here. That could be a sun right there. Okay, let's use another golden ratio thing. How about we use the circle again, ellipse tool, and let's use the smaller one right here. And let's zoom, let's do a little smaller. Okay, nice size right there. Did you see the size there? And then, oh, let's give it some, let's use some nice sort of sun. What's the sun color? Oh, let's go real reddish orange. How about we go orange? And we put that in the middle there. There we go. Okay, so now let's, oh, that's good. How about we make these yellow? How about that? We make all the ones out here yellow. There we go. Nice and even. Look at the golden ratio right there. See how things are nice and spaced, and that's sort of how you're supposed to use it. Any questions? Okay, you're supposed to make one today, right? You haven't made. I can help you make the golden ratio today. Okay. Before we get to making things, one more question. Before we get to making things, we will talk about my bike and what we want to include in my bike thing. Then you can work on your logo and make sure you turn in your thing you did last class. Remember the layout, so I can grade that and give you feedback. If you haven't turned it in yet. Okay, your question. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to know if we should use the golden ratio even to position things, like for the placements of.
Sure, maybe.
Or is it mainly used?
Yeah, I would say more for shape. I wouldn't. Yeah, I think placing things is more visual AI. Alignment. Okay. But this was just an example of how you would use it to make something like this thing, right? Something like that. Then, of course, you got all these small ones. I can make an R shape to put in the middle there and all these. So each one of these little rectangles is kind of the way you make a shape. And it doesn't have to be round and square, You can make a cloud shape that fits in there or something like that, right? Okay, let me stop this video.